You know, right now we're not a very good football team. We're, as I said after the game, we're not very smart. You know, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're losing or we're leaving touchdowns on the field offensively, and we're just not executing. And
Good day once again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Grilling the Birds, along with Trey Thomas. I'm Derek Gunn, brought to you by Inside the Birds. And Trey, you just heard the head coach, Doug Peterson, say it. We're just not a very good football team right now. He's starting to agree with the general consensus.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, especially when you have a group that's just keep making all of these mistakes. You come out of the game with 11 penalties, all of the mistakes, missed throws, missed opportunities out there on the field. This was a team that you should have walked out of this game with a win. You know, there's no reason for them to have to tie the Bengals. I mean, this was a team that you have a rookie quarterback, an offensive line that's not the best offensive line in the world. And I mean, this is the team when we looked at the schedule that we felt like, all right, you know what, we can come away with this with a win.
You know, I want to hit on something you just said. A team that keeps making the same mistakes. Okay, when you look at the offensive side of the football, all the personnel except the John Hightower has been with this team. You look at the defensive side, all the personnel now, except maybe Darius Slay, Javon Hargreave, has been with this team. Yeah. So even if you get beat, how are you constantly making the same mistakes over and over in a system most of you have been in for a minimum of 2 years?
Yeah, to me, it just seems like it's a lack of focus, or lack of discipline, a lack of holding players accountable. Because like, what are you going to do? I mean, yeah, they go out there and make a mistake, but then you reward them with a day off on the next week. So, that I think a lot of that plays into what you're seeing out there on the field.
A lot of what people have been harping about over and over all week long is, why didn't you go for it? Why didn't you go for it on 4th and 12? Why did you punt the football? Are you shocked they didn't go for it, especially in a situation where, in the fourth quarter in particular, your defense basically was controlling Cincinnati's offense? Mm-hmm. Why not take a shot? Because if you give the ball near midfield, the likely possibility is your defense is going to hold up for you.
Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Because that's all they need right now. That's all they need is for you not to go for it. For you to go for it, and then you mess around and it's a fumble snap, or it's something happens, or they block the field goal and we take it back to the house and it's a touchdown, and then you have loss number 3. So I guess Doug, to me, it seems like he kind of shriveled up and was like, you know what? Hey, I'm just going to get out of here with a tie. I'm happy with it, especially when you just had a false start that started this, that kicked you, that put you out of field goal range. So now you feel like, all right, you know what? We're just going to all right, hey, man, I'm going to just call this. Let's just get rid of it, and let's just take this tie.
If you were Doug Peterson, because the day after at his press conference, Doug Peterson said, in hindsight, I should have gone for it. Would you second guess yourself in front of the media and the general consensus in a market where it's highly critical and you haven't won a game this year? Would you have second-guessed it, or second-guessed yourself publicly, or would you have worded it a little bit differently?
I think I would have worded it a little bit differently. I don't want to second-guess myself, because right now you already have doubt creeping in on just all of the decisions that are made, just the play calling and all the different scenarios that's going on in this game. So you definitely don't need to add to that by coming in and saying, hey, man, you're second-guessing yourself, or saying, hey, man, I probably should have gone in a different direction. Yeah. Because, I mean, everybody's already kind of questioning what in the hell is going on over there.
Okay, so you picked up something on that crucial situation where Matt Pryor gets an offside penalty, didn't you?
Yes, I did. So what we're going to do right here, we're going to go over this clip right here. And what I want you guys to pay attention to is turn the sound up really loud. And what you'll hear is, in that 4-second mark, you'll hear a set hut. So here, let's just go ahead and get that clip in, and then once we come back to it, I'll let you guys talk about it.
With only 19 seconds remaining. Elliott has hit from 54. Boy, what's the call here?
So basically what you're telling me is Cincinnati forced Pryor to jump offside?
Absolutely. What they did was, and this is one of the things that you would see a lot from the defensive line, especially in a situation like this. You know everything is on the line. Everybody is tired. So what the defense does, they get up there and they yell, set hut. And now Matt Pryor, the discipline part about this is when you're in field goal, you're trained to always look at the ball. There is no cadence on field goal. That's the bad part about it. You know, at least unless they change something, there is no cadence on field goal. You kind of just watch the ball and you make sure he snaps the ball and then you go. But, you know, he gets down in there and the guy was like, set hut. And then they did the Cincinnati, what they did was they did a late line shift on the defensive front. And then now there you go. And then the offensive line, and then Matt Pryor jumps. Now that puts you even further back. And, you know, and then next thing you know, that's when Doug makes the decision to go ahead and punt, which I felt at the time that, you know what, I think that was the right decision because, you know, Matt Pryor he jumped earlier. So you know that now that he just jumped, that he might be late. And the last thing you need is for him to be late on a field goal, and then it causes it to get blocked.
See, and to add insult to injury, the very next play, they have a delay of game, which tells me there's confusion there. How can you have confusion in a situation like that?
Well, I think they did the delay of game on purpose just to go ahead and take as much time off the clock as possible, you know, and let's just go ahead and, hey, man, we're already out of it. Let's take as much time off the clock as possible right here. Go ahead and take that delay of game, and then now you can move the ball back, and then we get our kick.
So they tie a Cincinnati Bengals team. The head coach says we're not a very good team. They're still having all kinds of mental mistakes. And to add insult to injury, no pun intended, but the injuries continue to pile up, man. Yeah. Dallas Goedert now on IR for at least 3 weeks with a fractured ankle. Avonte Maddox has a lower body injury, whatever that may be. He's going to be down for at least a couple of weeks and maybe longer. Deshaun Jackson has a hamstring injury. Now he's day-to-day again. I mean, come on, man. We understood coming into the season that we were going to see an increase in injuries because of the lack of proper training time to get ready. But what's happening to the Philadelphia Eagles, man, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know what? A lot of this stuff is just you constantly piling on, and you don't know what is the cause of all of these injuries. Is it conditioning? Is it, you know, the guys didn't do what they were supposed to do to get themselves prepared? You can't always put it on the medical team. I mean, because, you know, the medical team is there to, once you get hurt, they'll go ahead and start taking care of you. They're not trying to prevent you from getting hurt. Yes, they're there to help you once you do get injured, and then they'll take care of you from there. It's up to the players, and I think that the strength and conditioning program to kind of get you up to the point to where to keep you out of the medical tent, to keep you off the out of the injury, keep you off the injury report and everything. So I don't know what's going on with this team that is always just a truckload of injuries every year.
You know, there's a couple of mystery injuries that I want to talk about here. First of all, we find out that before the game, during pregame warmups, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has some lower body injury because Doug was asked, why didn't you go to Whiteside more in this game? And they said they had to limit his reps in the game because he was dealing with a lower body injury. What could that have possibly been?
Well, maybe it was because Doug said they were going to have to lean on him a little bit more going into this game. You know, I heard a report saying that Doug Peterson said we're going to lean on J.J. Arcega-Whiteside a little bit more since we had Rager go down. So, hey, man, we're going to lean on J.J. a little bit more. Was that weight a little too heavy for J.J.? So where he like, oh, man, you know what? I can't make it. I'm sorry. You know, I'm hurting right now.
Are you saying he shriveled up?
You know what? All I could go off is what was there. The report was that we're going to lean on you more going into this game. Then the next thing you know, he coming out there for warm-ups, and the report was, hey, man, I think there's something wrong with JJ. He's with the trainers right now. I don't know. And you don't even have any fans in the stadium to make you nervous. So, I mean, what's going on?
I know, man. All right. The biggest mystery of all, future Hall of Famer, Jason Peters, plays 89 snaps late in the game. Now, you as an offensive tackle, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
89 snaps in the game. All of a sudden, he crumples to the ground, grabs his leg. I'm thinking, this man broke his ankle, broke his shin bone, something. Had to be helped off the field, Trey.
Yeah.
And then we find out later from the coach that it was fatigue.
That it was fatigue.
Fatigue, Trey. Seriously.
That right there. I'm like, come on, JP. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to, you know what? Let's just go through these plays real quick. We're going to go through these plays, just what led up to this whole little thing right here, all right? So let's go through it, right? Because I had to go back over and just pull these plays out. So
I see your blood boiling. I see your blood boiling.
I'm sorry, but we're going to go through it, okay? So here we go. Here's the first play where we called JP out here, and they had like a nice little run right here. So it's a run play where JP is finishing his guy, and then Miles Sanders. This was the play that they ended up having to review. So you saw JP lock up with his guy. Miles Sanders runs by him a little bit, and then you saw JP go to the ground. Well, right here, you see when they call for the instant replay, where you see it in slow motion where Miles got flipped over on his head. You see next to him, JP is rolling on the ground like as if he's trying to find, okay, something's hurt. Something is hurt right now. What is it? But the thing that caught me was this, when JP went back to the huddle, just how the guys were kind of looking at him like, really? You know, we tired, you know, like what's going on here? And so, you know, so they I'm trying to get through this.
I'm sorry.
So you can see the guys' eyes in the huddle. That's what caught me, where it's like JP comes back and he's kind of hobbling around and they looking at him like, man, really? I mean, it's overtime, man. Like, dog, we trying to get them. But all right, so they had an instant replay. They went to the booth. They had the instant replay to go back, and then they respot the ball. Then Cincinnati called a timeout. So you had a little time to catch your breath. And so the next play after the one play after he rolled around on the ground, it was a quarterback sneak to get the first down because the play they ended up being 3rd and short. So now we need to call a quarterback sneak. On a quarterback sneak, man, all you do is just lunge out. You just lunge out. So he lunges out, you know, that's the quarterback sneak, and we end up getting the first down. So then the very next play, now we're trying to get the ball in the middle of the field to get ready to get the ball in a better position for the kicker, but they call a tackle trap. So you see on this tackle trap here, now I don't know what Doug and them were thinking, because you could see that if it was fatigue, you could see that JP was laboring. Why call this play right here where you have a tackle trap, where you have JP pulling to the right side, and now he collides up in there, and then that's it. He's down now. So now JP is down. JP is down. But I need you to hear the broadcasting team talk about this right here. Just hear JP, what the broadcasting team has to say about JP here.
1st and 10. Eagles again out of timeouts. This is Sanders inching a little bit closer. Gets down close to the 43-yard line. Sanders now 18 attempts, 95 yards. And that clock runs with 70 seconds left in overtime. Told you about the Eagles. Haven't started 0-3 this season since 1999. Now the injured Eagle offensive lineman is Jason Peters. And it looks like his left leg. This has been an offensive line for Philly that has been racked by injuries already early part of the season. And right now the left leg is the concern for Peters. Lost their left tackle Andre Dillard, then a torn bicep in August. Of course, Brandon Brooks, their right guard, All-Pro, went down with the Achilles in June. Lost another starter last week after the injury to Isaac Seumalo. And now Peters can barely put any weight on that leg.
Spiro, I can't imagine playing left tackle at 38 years old.
And they signed Peters to the one-year extension, expecting him to play right guard. Then they had to move him back after the injuries. And they'll take a closer look on the sideline. So you heard the 10-second runoff with the injury. And now Jordan Mailata 7th-round pick a couple of years ago.
So as you can hear right here, the broadcasting team is looking at JP getting helped off the field, and they see JP and they're like, he can't put any weight on his leg. What's going on? You know, and you can see that by JP, by the time he got to the hash, and then by the time he got to the numbers, he like, all right, he jogging, you know, he feeling like, all right, he all right. So I'm like, well, damn, you know, then the report was it was his shin. So I'm thinking, okay, it's a shin injury. But then Doug was like, you know what? I ain't going to even lie for you. He was tired. That's it. I mean, you know.
Hold it right there. Hold it right there, because I want everybody to listen to what Doug Peterson had to say about Jason Peters' injury.
Jason Peters will be okay. He came away. It was just, you know, when you're playing 90-plus snaps and as humid as it was just some fatigue that set in late in the game. But he's going to be fine.
Come on, man. See, I'm at a point now. Now you become not only Trey Thomas football analyst, but you are now Trey Thomas weatherman. And, you know, Doug talked about high humidity and all this stuff. But you have a weather picture that kind of disagrees with Doug, don't you?
Yeah, man, it's not good. See, that's what happens when y'all get me over here, man, and we start going through all this stuff. Because now I'm like, all right, Doug, wait a minute now. You say the humidity levels are high. I know high humidity, being from Florida. I played in the pickle juice game where our shoes were falling apart, and, you know, because the turf was so hot. So I'm like, all right, humidity. And I've had to think back, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, it wasn't that hot Sunday. So, you know, because I was out watching the game and stuff. And so here's the weather report here where you look at it, okay? So this is it.
You got a weather report? Come on, man.
So we got the weather report from Sunday. I mean, you know, when you give that type of excuse, you have to expect that people are going to go back and look it up. So here we go. Look at the weather report here. So, you know, we start the game off at, you know, this doesn't have the exact times, but I mean, we start the game off at 70 degrees, 71% humidity, okay? So that percent is the humidity. All right, so 154, you know, 78 degrees, 66% humidity. Now the hottest they got for the day, it was at 354. It was 80 degrees, but then the humidity was 62%. You know, so, you know, even throughout that, the humidity never got over 66% during the game. And you know what? If you look to the far right of this weather report, mostly cloudy. You know,
I'm not used to seeing this side of you, man. I like this Trey Thomas.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's the deal? You know, like, you know, what that tells me a little bit, as a coach, it just shows to me what's going on over there. At this point in the season, JP should be able to finish a game, no matter how many plays it is. But don't throw out his age and say, well, he's 38 years old and he played so many snaps. You brought him back.
Yeah.
And you brought him back to play guard, which is going to be a more physical position. So don't now start throwing out his age, making an excuse for it. And anytime somebody says, hey, I'm not trying to make an excuse for something, they're making an excuse for something.
Not only brought him back to play guard, but then gave him more money to move back to left tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it, though. That's, you know, so we got the weather report. We got different, you know.
Coaches talking about fatigue and all this stuff.
I mean, it's just all over the place. So I don't know, man. To me, it just shows what's going on over there with behind the doors when you can see like a player, and you know, that if a player fakes it, and I don't want to say, you know, but to me, it looked like it was a real injury. Now, if you're tired, you're tired. But if you're talking about, look, man, I need y'all to look at my leg, and you point at your leg like something is really wrong, but then it comes out, and then the first report was that it was a shin injury, but then now it came out that it was just fatigue.
You think he cramped
on your team? Yeah,
you think he cramped up?
If it was a cramp, they would have said a cramp. They said it was a knee to his shin.
Yeah.
You know, that was the first. The first report was a knee to the shin. It was not. If it was cramp, people would have said it was a cramp. I know what cramps look like. They start stretching your foot a little bit to kind of get that muscle to release. But no, they said that it was a knee to the shin, and then that was the first report. Then the next thing that came out was that it was just fatigue.
All right, let's talk about one of the few positives in this game. The offensive line in general Much better job at run blocking. They ran for 175 yards, although Carson Wentz had 9 carries for 65 yards. Well, tell me what you saw up front that was so good and so consistent about the way they won the battle in the trenches against the Cincinnati's defensive front.
Well, I think they did a really good job of just coming with some different creative, some different little wrinkles when it came to the run game. You saw a couple little different, little trap formations, some misdirection where you had some guys pulling left, but then now you're going an outside toss to the right. You came with some couple different inside zone runs that I felt was very productive. One of the things I thought that really helped, though, was when Carson felt like he was in trouble. All right, let's go ahead and get on out of there. There were some protection issues where he had to go ahead and just get out of there. But when you look at what just happened with the run block, and I think our combination blocks were pretty solid, getting up to the second level, that opened up some holes for Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders does a really good job of setting up his blocks and being patient and not just running in there blind.
Speaking of Miles Sanders, he had a pretty good day. 18 carries, 95 yards, averaged 5.3 yards per carry. In the first half, he was averaging almost 8 yards a carry, okay? Yeah. At the end of the game, he only had a grand total of 18 carries. So once again, we go back to Doug Peterson and asked about why you got away from Miles Sanders in the second half. And Doug has some fatigue issues. How old is Miles Sanders? He's not 38 years old like Doug Peterson. Jason Peters. No. The man's in his early 20s. How you have fatigue factor in your early 20s and you playing a game like this?
Yeah, I don't know. But let's go again.
Explain it, Dr. Trey, please.
I have nothing. I mean, it was mostly cloudy. It was 70-something degrees. Only 60-something% humidity. I mean, and you give these guys days off during the week. Like, I don't know.
All right,
I have nothing.
Let's go to the tape of Doug explaining Miles' fatigue situation.
It just so happened that, in Miles's case, you go back the week before, and not to, make excuses or whatever, but there was a little fatigue that set in. Miles alluded to that. He was battling through some things yesterday during the game, and we had to be cautious, late in the game. So, and there's times where you make the decision to maybe shift gears and go a little different direction, and that's what we did yesterday. But Miles, moving forward, Miles is obviously a big part of what we do, and I actually thought he not only ran the ball but blocked well in pass protection as well.
Just to clarify, it was fatigue and not an injury?
Correct.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks.
After hearing that comment, I'm sitting there going like this. Fatigue.
Yeah.
No injuries.
Yeah.
No lower body injury. No upper body injury. Fatigue.
Tired.
You're like 24 years old. Fatigue.
Tired. Yeah, I was tired. And like I said, anytime you hear somebody say, I'm not trying to make an excuse, you're making an excuse. And what does that say about the team when you have a coach that's going to go out there and make excuses for you? You think that they're going to produce for you? Now, it's one thing like, well, Big Red, he always covered us. He never threw us under the bus. But don't come and make an excuse for me, because, like, what do you think that's going to do as far as being guys in the locker room? How is that going to affect their performance as you move forward?
Right.
No.
All right. So afterwards, Miles Sanders, the team is frustrated. Miles Sanders is frustrated. On his Instagram account, Miles Sanders posted this. Don't be a fan later, because he's hearing the criticism. He said, don't be a fan later, either with us or not the whole way. Would you put that out there, considering you 0-2-1 and you lost to the Washington football team and you tied the lowly Cincinnati football team? Would you put that out there?
Absolutely not. There's no way I would put something like that out there. And, man, you know what? You're not really getting it right now. Your little feelings are hurt right now. because you got people tweeting you or whatever, so your little feelings are hurt right now. But you really haven't had. You're really not feeling the rap. This team is so lucky right now that there are no fans in the stadium. Imagine playing the way they're playing right now, and you had 70,000 in that stadium. Your feelings would really be hurt then, because man, so you ain't been really booed, right? Like right now, you getting a little boo. You getting Twitter booed. You know what I'm saying? That's like
right.
That's like the boo button, the guy that's hitting the button at the production where they hear the boos when you hear the boo on the TV, but they can't hear it in the stadium. You know what I'm saying? So that's you hearing that boo. You haven't really heard. Wait until you get those fans in that stadium. Wait until, because I think they said in a couple of weeks that you're going to be able to get probably like a couple thousand in there, into the stadium. Wait until you get a couple fans in there. You still putting this type of production out there on the field. You really going to hear it then. Because right now, this ain't nothing right now. So you need to get on out your feelings.
So if you were a veteran playing with a young player like that, and see, when you played, there was no such thing as Instagram and Twitter and all this stuff, So if you're playing now and a young player like that puts something out there, especially when things are going bad for the team overall, and in a lot of cases, embarrassingly bad, you saddle up to that young man, you nudge him, and you say what?
Hey, man, what are you doing? Even Doug should have came in and said something to him about that. I mean, that needs to be something that needs to be talked about from the coach, not even players. Coach should be saying, could Doug know how these fans are? He was here as a player. He felt the wrath.
Yeah.
So that should have been something that should have been talked about from jump, even from when Jalen Mills put out his thing last year, where he was talking about, hey, keep that same energy. Like, what? No, like these. I don't even get it. This young generation, these kids today, where they just feel like I feel like, dang, I just got old real quick. Where when these cats be putting little stuff out there like that, you already are battling against the team that's trying to take your head off. Why try to cause division in your fan base as well? Because at the end of the day, they're gonna have your back. So why are you trying to poke at them? Because your production isn't where it needs to be on the field.
I saved the franchise quarterback for this particular moment. I like the fact that he took off and ran more when he had to, because he picked up some necessary yardage, and of course he scores the game-time touchdown as well. But overall, the franchise quarterback decision-making, his inaccuracy, he is still rated as one of the worst QBs in the NFL right now. Trey, I'm sitting there going, wow, is this a rookie or a fifth-year vet? I mean, he missed Miles Sanders wide open on a wheel route that would have probably gone for a touchdown and changed the complexion of the game. And he missed some other throws that you were talking about as well.
Yeah. I mean, he missed Deshaun Jackson in the end zone where it was in the red zone there, which ended up turning into a sack, So, to me, it just seems like for whatever reason, Carson is just really struggling right now. I don't know if it's just the pressure of the season, if it's just, he's trying to do too much, or, he's just not seeing the field. Is it preparation? Like, what is it? Because it just seems like he's just with zero confidence out there on the field. It is sad to see him like that, because you see, how talented he can be. So what is it that's causing this problem? And again, he is benefiting big time from not having any fans in that stadium. Because, man, you see when they trot Hurts out there on that field and to hear the roar that would come behind that, right now he needs to really turn this thing around before these fans start coming back to the stadium. Because, I mean, they haven't heard anything yet, man. Because, I mean, when you come out there and you're missing all these throws and you're not completing easy passes, which any NFL quarterback should be able to make that's starting, how can, you got the team is trying to rally behind you, but when you keep making mistakes like this, is a problem.
6 interceptions in 3 games from a quarterback who's averaged 7 interceptions a season over the 3 previous seasons. It can't be all just mechanics. It can't be, and I wonder if all of the off-field criticism that he's been taking. Even before the season started, a lot of people were starting to criticize and question Carson Wentz. The fact that this organization drafted Jalen Hurts, and you can already see fans jumping on a Jalen Hurts bandwagon, talking about sit Carson and put Hurts in there. See, everybody's makeup is different. When you're the king of the campus in college like he was, when you're like considered the savior when you first come into the NFL, and all of a sudden your second year in the league, you're an MVP candidate until you get hurt. And then after that, everything kind of plateaus and bottoms out. Some people don't handle those verbal darts as well as other people.
No, yeah, and I think that's exactly what's going on right now because, like you said, your first couple years you had instant success. Like, I mean, right out the gate, you won a Super Bowl in your second year. Now, Nick Foles was the one that stepped in there and got it done for you, but you know what I'm saying? You still had that jewelry. But
yes.
I think that has a lot to do with it as well because every time he pulls up to go to work, you see that statue out there. You've already dealt with all of the Foles controversy, and then now you rush back from your injury. You come back, you get hurt again, have a broken back, and then you come back and it's still not the same. They get Foles out of there, but now you're still your team again because they don't want you to feel the pressure of Foles. But then now they draft Hurts, and I think that's weighing a lot on Carson's mind.
We've heard Doug Peterson say Carson needs to play better. We heard Doug Peterson basically say Miles Sanders, fatigue. Jason Peters, fatigue. I think you alluded to it earlier on this show that it appears that Doug is not covering for these guys as much as he used to.
Yeah, I think Doug is like, look, man, you know what? I think Doug is feeling the pressure as well, especially when you've had –
I agree.
Again,
I agree.
He's feeling the pressure as well because even when you look at some of these press conferences and just see what it is, the honeymoon is over. The taste of champagne from the Super Bowl is out of everybody's mouth right now. And I think everybody's kind of like, you know what, now you're starting to really feel it now because you had instant success. You won a Super Bowl within 2 years of being a head coach. And then now the team has been constantly just ticking down since then. And, I think that's really starting to cause a problem. It's wearing on Doug a lot, I think. And I think he feels like, you know what, I'm not going to keep covering for you guys. Look, he was tired. You know what, if you guys have a problem with me, hey, you know what, hey, he can't make that throw. He needs to make a better decision there. Like he's not covering for these guys. He like, look, we're going to hold each other. If y'all going to do this, well then, hey, man, I'm going to just throw it out there and then y'all just deal with it on your own.
You know what, though? If things keep going bad, if he continues to take that approach. Now, Bill Belichick will call his players out in a minute. Pete Carroll will call his players out in a minute. But Doug Peterson has always been this friend to the players. If this thing continues to go south, could he lose the locker room?
I don't think he's lost the locker room.
Okay.
I don't know if the guys are still going to give it give it that all, that everything that
How's that possible 3 games into a season? How's that possible?
It just doesn't have the same intensity and aggression that it needs to have at this point. It's early in the season. And to me, I don't know what the deal is. But I tell you what, if they lose a couple more games, then you're going to start seeing guys make that business decision and start like, you know what, I'm out. I'm checking out. I'm not going to be out here battling for y'all because I don't want to have an off-season surgery because I'm going to be out of here anyway. I think if they mess around and lose 2 more games and you could tell like they might be out of the playoffs, you're going to start seeing guys start shutting down. Now, that's when you'll see, does Doug still have this locker room? To me, I don't think his voice is the same because he's let so much ride along the way. I think he's allowed these guys to kind of, hey, man, if you feel like practicing hard today, all right, practice hard today. If not, then all right, cool. We're just going to get on through it. But then now it's starting to show itself on the field. How can you go back to being taking charge of that? You're going to have to crack a couple of eggs to do that.
So you're saying Doug has been too soft on these players?
I think so. I think he's been a little too friendly for them. It's been too player friendly, where some guys haven't been held accountable. And then when you start having guys that's, hey, you know what, I might not practice today or I might not go as hard today. That starts to seep into some of the younger players that are sitting there watching it. And like, all right, well, if that's how it is, then that's how it is. And if you got a whole team that's functioning like that, then how can you, it's hard to flip that switch and go back to where it was before, unless you start getting guys out of the door. Because I mean, you have to me, I just feel like as a coach, you can still be cool with your players, but you have to hold them accountable. You have to have rules and regulations, and like, look, when you hit that field, I need you to be all in. You can't just say, all right, I'm going to take these plays off or just kind of ease through practice, because it starts showing itself in the games.
Mm-hmm. So the fan base, as you know, it's hot, it's cold, but it is a loyal fan base no matter what. But I was just curious, so I put this poll out on my Twitter page on Monday, and basically what I said was, which of the next 3 games do the Eagles have the best chance of winning? Of course, it's San Francisco, Pittsburgh, and then Baltimore. And I put also a number 4 option, none of the above. So 27% of the people said they felt the Eagles have the best chance of winning at San Francisco. Obviously, San Francisco is banged up as they are. 66% said none of the above. That tells you right now, a good majority of the fan base has had it with this team for the season already. 3 games into the season, Trey.
I'm at the none of the above as well. You know what I'm saying? Just because I think that this team, with the Bengals, this was a team that you should have beat. And you never know how a tie is going to affect this team, because
Yep.
I mean, they went all out. And to me, this is a loss for this team. I know it says a tie on the record, but to me, this was a loss. And I don't know if this team can take going out to San Fran, and San Fran is a physical team. Can they take being popped in the mouth again? You know, because I mean, San Fran is going to come out there and give you everything they have. I mean, they just rolled over the Giants. You know, yep. I don't know if this team is strong enough mentally to go out there and battle against a team that's going to go toe to toe with you with just as many injuries. You know, because you should have whooped the Bengals. You should have whooped the Bengals, but you end up in a dog fight with them, and then you come out of there with a tie, which I feel is a loss for them. And here we are looking at this. I don't know what that does to the psyche of this team, that you had a rookie quarterback with an offensive line that wasn't that good. You sacked him 8 times, had over 15 quarterback hits, tackles for loss. You brought the blitz package and everything, and you still couldn't come out of there with a win.
All right, we're going to get to the defense more in just a moment, but we have to take a pause for the cause right now. And by the way, everybody, week 3 of the football season is in the books, and now it's time to review the tape and get ready for week number 4. There is no better place to get in on all the action than with the DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Now, to add to the excitement of week number 4, DraftKings Sportsbook is bringing back their can't-miss offer. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head to the App Store now, because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new users the chance to turn $1 into $100 when they bet on any team. That's right, I said $1. You can turn it into $100 if you bet on any team. All right, now, don't worry if football isn't for you, because DraftKings is giving you, all you basketball fans, a 200% profit boost. Did I say that right? A 200% profit boost on any basketball market once you sign up. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use the promo code ITB when you sign up to get this can't-miss offer. Pick any team during week 4, bet $1 on them, and you could possibly win $100 if they win. That's $1 to win $100. Good Lord, when you use the promo code ITB during sign-up for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's move on to the defense. You were just talking about the defense a moment ago. Against the Rams, that defense got shredded. But they buckled down against that young quarterback, Joe Burrow, we talked about, who's going to be something special. And Jim Schwartz came up with a much better game plan to defend against the Bengals offense.
Yeah, he did. You know, they came in, they finally, you know, got outside of themselves and brought the blitz. You know, you saw a lot of different blitz packages coming in. You know, you brought Jalen Mills a lot of times, then you're going to bring Maddox. You know, they did a lot of just mixing it up and bringing different guys. another thing that you saw out there is that they came out in five defensive linemen and tried to, because they knew that this offensive line wasn't the best offensive line in the league. So they were like, all right, you know what? We're going to put our best 5 pass rushers across the board, and let's see what we can do. And I think that they did an excellent job of just mixing it up a little bit. You know, of course, you still gave up 23 points, but I mean, you did enough. I think you did a lot. I mean, they held them to 50-something yards rushing. You know, so you had a team that went out there and gave them everything that they wanted as far as the defensive front. You know, to come out of there with 8 sacks. You know, BG out there with 2 sacks. Fletcher Cox, Jalen Mills had a sack and a half. I know I mess with Jalen Mills a lot because the man just has so much confidence, man, and I just love to see him when he get out there and he start flexing on everybody, man. And, you know, just even if he gets beat, it doesn't matter, you know. But, I mean, he went out there, and I thought that he had a heck of a game where he came out of this game with a sack and a half. I'm not sure how many tackles for a loss, but I think he had 3 quarterback hits in this game. So I think mixing him in, sending him on the blitz was a nice little change-up.
I think Brandon Graham had the best overall game of anybody in the defense. 2 quarterback sacks and, of course, 4 hits on a quarterback. And for a guy who is a veteran leader, you know, he may not lead verbally in a lot of cases, but that's how you lead by example to get these other guys fired up.
Yeah, because BG was definitely a big spark for them when he come out there, because BG is always going to get you a big hit. He's going to get you a big hit on the running back on some of those sweet plays, because he can be disciplined at times and can get that big hit in the backfield. So he definitely did a good job of creating that spark from time to time with some of those plays. But I think our defensive front really turned it on, especially towards the end, where you go back and you just look at how they just continue to pile up these stats, because every year they always find somebody that they can go out there and pick on. Because you go back and you look at what BG did. He had 4 tackles. He had 2 sacks. I think he had 3 tackles for a loss and then 4 quarterback hits. You look at what Jalen Mills did, 1.5 sack, 1.5 tackle for a loss, 3 quarterback hits. And then you go down to Malik Jackson went out there. He had a half a sack. Everybody was active. It was good to see Barnett getting back into it. He
finally showed up.
Yeah, he had 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Fletcher Cox was there. You know, he had 1 tackle for a loss, 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. So that's what you want to see, where you constantly have that quarterback. If you're not sacking, he's getting hit. They finished this game with 18 quarterback hits, 10 tackles for a loss. Now, that's playing in the backfield.
Now, one name you did not mention that I want to talk about, or let you talk about a little bit, was Javon Hargreave. Now, his coordinator, Jim Schwartz, after that game said that Javon is starting to turn the corner. He's being disruptive. But Mr. Thomas says otherwise.
Well, you know what? He's starting to come. What do we call turning the corner? Like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Are you going to make a play or not? I don't know. You know, like I'm scrolling down the box score here, and I know that you shouldn't judge a game by what you see on the box score, but I don't see a lot of production. And every now and then, he got a nice, he beat a guy, and he got close to, you know, possibly getting something. The ball was out, but you know, you brought him in to be that force on the inside.
All right. Now, the one thing that would really help this team, especially the offensive side, is the fact that they've got to be able to generate some turnovers. This defense has no turnovers whatsoever this season. And when your offense is struggling like that, you've got to be able to put them in short field situations the way Washington put their offense in short field situations, the way the Rams put their team in short field situations. This defense has to find a way to help out this offense.
Yeah, and I think what you need to do is it's going to help out when they start, now that they're blitzing a little bit more, and I hope that keeps coming, they need to learn how to affect the throw from the quarterback. You saw one time where Jalen Mills came right up the middle, came through clean, but instead of trying to put his hands up to try to go after the throwing arm, he compacted himself to try to put a good thump on the quarterback. Man, come on, man. Yeah, that hit was cool. Like Burrow took that hit and bounced off and was like, all right, completion. You know, you got to come in there hands up, try to go after that throwing arm. Let's try to create some turnovers. Now, one thing I can't say now, our secondary, they played a heck of a game. Now, you know, Yeah, they gave
right.
us some stuff there, but you saw some guys step in and make some big pass deflections, some breakups, and I think that, you know, to be honest with you, man, Slay, I mean, he is everything as advertised, man. His cover skills is I mean, second to none out there. One of the things that was just that I was very surprised with is that Burrow did not shy away from going after him.
No, he didn't.
Bit, and I was very impressed by that. You know,
Joe Burrow was 31 of 44, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Eagles roughed him up a little bit, but I tell you something, that young man is going to be a special quarterback, and I love his demeanor after games when he says, you know what, losing is unacceptable. A tie to me is a loss. This guy's not used to this kind of stuff, man. I'm telling you what, it's not going to be this year, but eventually, if they get him the necessary pieces, that young man is going to take Cincinnati a long ways one year.
Yeah, they need to get him. Once they get him a nice little offensive line, he's going to be he's going to be nice.
So we move ahead to now week number 4, and they have a Sunday night game with the San Francisco 49ers on the West Coast. And as you mentioned a few moments ago, the Niners took care of business coming east to play the Giants, beat them 36-9. But here's what's really shocking about this Niners team, okay? We talk about how banged up the Eagles are. But the Niners went into that game with the Giants, get this, without their number 1 quarterback, without their number 1 and number 2 running backs, without their number 1 and number 2 tight ends. They were without their number 1 wide receiver. They were without their number 1, 2, 4 cornerbacks. They were without their number 1, 3, 4, 5 defensive ends, their number 2 linebacker, their number 4 and 5 receivers, and their number 1 center. Now, they're worse off than the Eagles are right now, okay? But yet, this team, this is where drafting and scouting comes into play, because they still look really physical to me, man.
Yeah.
And that backup quarterback Mullins, whatever his name is, Mullins.
Yeah.
Hey, he didn't look like he's only played 11 games in his career, but he looked like he fit right into that scheme.
And that goes into coaching, preparation, making sure you get your guys there, and not accepting excuses. You know what I'm saying? And not building in excuses. Hey, man, yeah, it'll be easy to sit up here and say, woe is us. We're missing all of these players, but they're not accepting any excuses. They're going out there preparing these guys to go out there and battle, and that's how you come out of a game with 36-9. And you play, and another thing that I don't like is this whole building of an excuse to saying, hey, that having no fans in the stadium is affecting us. You know, like, you can't give these guys momentum to sit up there and mope or give them something to sit on. So, but, you know, the 49ers, you could just see that this team was prepared and ready to rock 36-9. I don't – can we go out there and handle business? I hope so, but I'm
putting you on the spot right now. Eagles win or lose this game?
Lose.
Wow, that was quick. You didn't even think about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. You know, I don't think, you know, coming off of this game, this was a team that I think they should have beat the Bengals. I don't know until they show me that they're going to come out there and handle business. I'm not feeling it, especially when you're making excuses for everything that's going on. I don't think you guys won't be ready to go to battle for you.
But couldn't the Tide be that momentum builder that they need for the next game?
No, you should have won this game. This was a game that you should have won. You should have dominated Cincinnati. You know, you go out there and everybody was talking about, oh, man, you could run all over Cincinnati. Everybody else come out of there with 200 yards rushing. Yeah, we had a good day of running, but we didn't do enough to get the win. So I don't know, you know. And then when you don't go ahead and take the chance, now I don't fault Doug for saying, all right, you know what, we're going to go ahead and go for the tie. But what does that do for your team when you say, you know what, let's just take this tie. Let's just get on out of here. You didn't go down on your shield. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know, so I don't know what that does to a team. Maybe this could help gel them or whatever. I don't know. You're going to have guys get the day off, you know, and get some rest days. I don't know if they released the injury report yet, but I'm sure you probably got about 2 or 3, 4, 5 guys that's going to get rest days. And, you know, and it's business as usual over there.
Well, I'm with you. Until they show me, I cannot pick the Eagles. So I'm going to take the 49ers in this game, even though, again, I can't emphasize enough, the 49ers right now, and we don't know how many of the key players that are getting back for Sunday, but right now they're in worse shape than the Eagles are. But I can't pick the Eagles after what I've seen of this team over the first 3 weeks of the season. All right, that's going to put the wraps on this edition of Grilling the Birds, brought to you by Inside the Birds. For the always opinionated Trey Thomas, I'm Derek Gunn. We'll see you next week, hopefully after the Eagles win over the 49ers. But Trey and I'm not too good. I'm not feeling too good about it.
Yeah.
So long, everybody. Have a great day.